And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
So just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now, but it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop.
The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave.
Come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite.
Now, there's one thing you might have noticed I don't complain about. Politicians.
Governments don't live together, people live together. From governments, you don't always get a fair word or a fair fight. Well, I've come here to give you either one, or get either one from you.
That is totally taken out of context.
Well, not really.
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up,
T-minus 1 minute.
live out the true meaning of its creed.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
T-minus 50 seconds.
I am paying for this microphone, Mr.
Every dollar released from taxation
T-minus 40 seconds.
that is spent or invested will help create a new job.
Chivalry is dead, and women killed it.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines.
T-minus 20 seconds.
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing ground and in the streets.
10, 9,
We shall fight
8,
in the hills.
6,
We shall never surrender!
3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Problem Solver Politics live stream, the Hangout live stream. We be doing it, and we be doing it well. Oh, whoops. That looks horrible. I didn't realize until I was actually on camera that was all scattywampus, as we say, if you're a Joe Biden staffer on the No Malarkey tour. Anyway, yeah, we got all kinds of cool stuff going on. Basically, we're going to talk a little bit about what we discussed in the video earlier today. Joe Biden's actually aired some criteria, shall we say, for his choosing of a female VP. Got to be a female. And also, gosh, what was the second thing, Cody, that I said we got to talk about? It was really funny. They've outlawed, today they outlawed hoarding. And William Barr says, we're going to come after you.
Here's the thing, though.
So that guy with that garage full of hand sanitizer.
Okay, but how do you, I guess, isn't one of those I know it when I see it? How do you outlaw hoarding? No, you don't.
Well, no, he's not outlawing hoarding.
Okay, good. Because the premise of the government saying, no, you don't need that much is like, oh, wow, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Government, for deciding that for me.
No, they're outlawing, actually, people call it hoarding, but it's hoarding with the intent to sell and profit off the crisis, which is actually a term called arbitrage. And I wish they would have said that they are outlawing arbitrage of medical supplies instead of saying they're outlawing hoarding.
Oh, I guess. So like some guy on eBay can't buy 10,000 of them and sell them for $50 per mask on eBay and be like the mask king.
Yeah, well, you saw the tweet of the guy that bought up as soon as he heard coronavirus.
No, the hand sanitizer guy. No, hold on. It wasn't a tweet. For some reason.
It was a garage full of hand sanitizer.
Please, someone tell me if I'm wrong on this, because I don't think I am. I think, he let the New York Times, interview, because they must have. They did, a piece on him. I don't know what this guy was thinking when a reporter calls him and says, oh, excuse me, are you the guy who bought all the hand sanitizer, all of it, and all of the, the wipes and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you mind if we did a piece to talk about, the plight of resale? In what world did he think they were going to write this piece of, man, this tragic story of this individual who tried to buy 2 lifetimes worth of hand sanitizer was denied by the government during a time people need hands, because the whole piece made him look like I don't want to say an idiot, but it made him look a little bit. Here's the problem. It looked callous at first, but then his response made him look like an idiot. It's like, well, I just wanted to make sure, people, this is one of the, people say this a lot when they try to, here's the thing. As somebody who likes, I don't buy them because they're overpriced, but I follow, special edition releases of various things. And yeah, there's always some random person who doesn't know this thing exists. They buy every single one to sell them for twice the value. And then, the reason though is, well, I wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to get it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's everybody
so
needs
benevolent,
a chance to get
dude.
it after you bought it first and had it. So everyone needs a chance to get it from you. Is always it's always the part of their argument they don't get to. So anyway, it was he either genuinely believes the best way to distribute hand sanitizer to the masses is for him to buy it all, put it in his garage, and sell it for marked up prices on eBay. Yeah. Which, by the way, when you're hoarding and scalping on eBay, dude, really, at the end of the day, only one person is really scamming anyone here. It's PayPal, taking their 15% or whatever from this. Well, think about it. You sink, I guess, the hand sanitizer for 1,000%. But a lot of this stuff, if you're selling something for 2 to 3 times, by the time you pay for shipping and then give your cut to eBay and PayPal and stuff, because sometimes eBay takes a cut, and then if you take the money out through PayPal, PayPal takes a cut, which is just, PayPal. So I don't know. I'm just saying, a lot of these people, at the end of the day, they're just getting played by eBay the entire time. So really, everyone loses but Elon Musk. I guess no. Elon Musk is pretty much out of eBay, right?
Oh, yeah. Well,
PayPal. Sorry.
He sold his interests in PayPal to eBay in order to launch
ago.
his billions. Yeah, that was, I think that was when I was in junior high, man.
You know what? That shows how interesting he is, though, for some reason. I'm not the most Elon Musk fascinated person, but he's a pretty interesting guy. How many people founded random companies that are random? Obviously, PayPal's huge, but there's a lot of big companies, and how many of them do we talk about years later and attribute to their companies? Really, only a few, like Apple, Microsoft. I guess because some of them though, it's like Amazon. Jeff Bezos has been Amazon forever. There's that awesome picture of Jeff Bezos at this awful, depressing, fluorescent light lit tiny office cubicle, and he has the window so you could see it's nighttime, and he has an awful spray. Have you ever seen that the old Jeff Bezos picture? Here's the one thing, and people
where he's got it handwritten on the. It looks like it's almost like dot matrix printer paper where I had the sides torn off.
Yeah. Well, here's another picture of it. This isn't. Here we go.
Yeah, right there.
Here we go. 1 second. I want to get this one.
Boom shakalaka.
Maybe he has the blinds closed in his daytime. I don't even. My point being, I try to hate in Jeff Bezos because it is pretty crazy the stuff he does sometimes. man, he's going to make out great when everyone's at home ordering stuff. You know which stuff I've ordered off Amazon recently? But at the same time, you want to talk about started from the bottom, now we're here. Like this, Jeff Bezos had a weird idea. He was going to sell books on the internet, I believe, right? And so he's like, I'm going to sell books on the internet. And now it's like, there's like people who are like, oh, thank God during these times of crisis, I can sustain off the things I could order off Amazon.com from Jeff Bezos. I mean, hey, you know what I've been watching a lot? I've been watching a lot of Amazon Prime over the last few days.
I was about going to say.
I've been stuck in the house. So
I paid $19.99, an abusive price. I paid $19.99 yesterday.
By the way,
to
sadly,
rent The Hunt.
Sadly, we are not sponsored by.
Yeah, sadly, we are not sponsored by Amazon.
Bezos.
But
shilling for him.
I paid $19.99 to rent The Hunt, dog. I wanted to see it, and I was like, "That's it. I'll do it."
Oh yeah,
I'll do it.
Well, that's part of them doing theatrical releases at home.
Yeah.
Now that's obviously, theatrical releases in about 50 million quotation marks because it was intended to be a release.
It's so for the first 2 weeks of the release when it's in theaters, it's going to be this big, gnarly, the equivalent price of tickets. And then if you watch it after that 2 week period, I think it goes down to half.
But you know what's crazy though? You say that
Yeah.
if you want to like buy a movie on YouTube, it's like $20. I mean, I guess you own it. You can stream it again off YouTube, but that's not that insane of a price.
Yeah. So anyway, but that was just rental, dude. That wasn't own. Usually you can own for $19.99. Most of these places, whether it's Vudu or Amazon Prime or whatever, you can choose. Do I want to rent it for $2.99 or do I want to own it for $19.99 or something like that?
I don't know.
This one was rent for $19.99. It was brutal, but it's all right. It's all good. It's all good. We're showing nothing but love here. So anyway, what do you want to talk about, Cody? You want to dive into politics? You want to keep doing pop culture, man? What does the audience say?
Well, hold on. I thought this was interesting.
Okay.
I believe this came out today. Yeah, it came out. 6 a.m. So this was written yesterday, I guess you could say. Anyways, Washington Post did a piece called "The Surprising Enduring Relevance of Andrew Yang and His Ideas." So I thought it'd be kind of interesting.
Dude, that's awesome. What did it say? I didn't read that one.
It says last week, a lifetime ago in our new coronavirus reality. It's weird, isn't it? I guess, I don't know. Hey, by the way, how long did we last before we said coronavirus?
Yeah, seriously.
8 minutes. I was trying to read an article about Andrew Yang. I guess I had to know it was going to be in there. Anyway, a New York State TV studio, as the Dow plummeted and cities across the country shuttered restaurants and bars, CNN host Don Lemon turned to a topic that is speeding through Capitol Hill at a pace that once seemed unimaginable. Holy cow. Senator Mitt Romney is proposing a $1,000 payment to every adult, said Lemon, an idea that sounds familiar to my guest. The camera panned over. Wow, very dramatic. To Andrew Yang. Okay. Let's get on to what they're saying here.
Sly Cactus does make a campaign promise while you're looking for that.
Okay.
Saying, vote for me and I'll promise you free hand sanitizer.
That's a good point. Sorry, I thought there was another paragraph I skipped, but it was further down. Anyway, the camera panned over to Andrew Yang, the former presidential candidate, and new CNN commentator who looked like he was trying really hard to suppress an "I told you so." Yes, said Yang. What did you say about Mitt Romney? That he had joined the Yang Gang, said Yang, referring to the lovely nickname the reporters had given themselves. We're getting a lot of new members, certainly under the worst circumstances anyone can imagine. So that was kind of cute. I didn't miss when Andrew Yang said that Mitt Romney was now in the Yang Gang a month ago. But they go on to talk about more stuff kind of related to this. It's a really long article, most talking about how UBI is important. And I can't read this without thinking about the fact that repeatedly over and over again. Oh, shut up, though. Because, man, dude, I have to be honest. I got to one of these folds and thought that was the end of the article. This is
pretty lengthy.
Let's read this and do the whole video on this. Yeah, I'm missing a lot. But I want to give a shout out to, dude, your name. If I had never heard Joe Buck's name pronounced before and it was some person on Twitter, I'd pronounce it wrong. I can't pronounce. Anyway. I think it's Katie Kinsey. Shout out to her. I see her a lot on Twitter, and she got mentioned in the Washington Post article. Very cool. Oh, and the sorority of Yanks. Very cool. All the people. I always think it's cool when I see random people like that. I see on Twitter all the time show up in the media like this because it's really cool that they get recognized for all the stuff they do. Because a lot of the times I recognize their name because they're doing a lot of things. So
it's the first time they said something decent. Washington Post. Bah.
It doesn't matter what publication you pick. Pick one. They're staffed by a lot of people. And by staffed, I mean they pay somebody per article not a lot of money to desperately churn out as many as humanly possible.
You know, that is really, there's a lot of things, and this is why I think elder millennials are going to save the world. Okay? Once they can get their crap together, I think they're going to save the world. Because we actually remember the way it used to be. I remember when journalism was a respectable profession in which you could get into it and you could make a living. Now journalism...
Way back when?
In some regions, late 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Distant past.
Well, you know what's crazy, Cody, is journalism went the same way as prescription drugs, I've noticed, and both are equally important to our society. Did you know that now we don't manufacture a single pill of aspirin within the United States of America? We closed our last aspirin plant in 2002. Everything's been outsourced to China, to all these other Southeast Asian companies. They make our aspirin, right? And our last penicillin, the single most generic and probably most commonly used, at least in pediatrics, antibiotic out there, penicillin. Our last penicillin factory closed in 2004. All the equipment was purchased, shipped over to China, reopened in China. So I'm thinking that about then is when true journalism really died in America.
Okay, whatever.
It didn't quite make it all the way 6 years into the 21st century before it was toast. But dude, you used to be able to read newspapers, and then there was like reporters, and they had this this integrity and this standard they were held to, and you would have an internship with them, and it was a viable career. It was like being a teacher, not very insanely lucrative career, but it was like a legit career. And now it's the crap you do for free as a resume builder before you use it as a hopping stone to something else, because there ain't no way you could ever pay yourself off of journalism unless you're doing something sensationalist or crazy, or you're like a TMZ guy who's doing celebrity gossip. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, anyway, I don't think you've seen this yet. I think it'd be fun if you saw this.
Yeah, hit it.
This is one of a few articles, but you know, it's taking it pretty hard. This is a couple days ago. But the Mexican cartels, for whatever reason, seem very tied to China. No, I'm serious. There's a couple stories like this.
Oh, hey, they've been for a long time.
Because look at this. These restrictions have hindered access to everything from counterfeit luxury goods to the chemical precursors for making fentanyl. So,
hey,
very interesting, isn't it?
This is actually a deep connection and the relationship of the cartels to China dates back to the late 90s. I read this book called The World is Flat by Thomas L. Friedman, who used to be a respectable guy until he went the way of Robert Reich and just like decided he would be a leftist without at least trying to fake it.
What does that even mean?
And it means he sold out.
Okay.
It means he sold out. So anyway, before Thomas Friedman sold out, he actually wrote decent books. One of them is called The World is Flat. And it was one of the first books that really said, hey, look, we've already globalized and we just don't even realize it yet because we haven't gotten used to it yet. But this is the way it is. And shortly thereafter, in some of these other publications that he'd written or was attached to, I was reading how Mexico was paying off. There was municipalities and states in Mexico that were paying off debts to the Chinese for equipment with, guess what? Tequila. Straight up tequila. And, you know, like...
Isn't that like when Pepsi owned the Russian army ships, the Russian naval ships?
I don't know. You were telling me a story about that before. I don't know all the details.
Well,
but
Russia bought a lot of Pepsi, and it was like late in the Cold War, and they didn't have a lot of money, but they had a lot of battleships for a war they weren't fighting, so they gave them to Pepsi in exchange. And then I think at one point Pepsi had like a massive navy. I believe that's the legend, at least, but I don't know. It doesn't sound that insane to me. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, dude, you have got to pull up Pepsi's navy, man. That's something. It was kind of funny. I actually watched that movie yesterday, where things were forgotten.
Funny? Shout out to Business Insider, by the way. That was the. No, but look, and just there, the article from the last two ones I pulled up happened to be Business Insider. But yeah, here we go. How Pepsi, I think we've talked about this before on a stream, but how Pepsi briefly became the 6th largest military in the world.
Oh, you know what? Actually, now that you show me that, I think we did a video on this once.
No, we never did a video. I think we just talked about it in extreme.
Yeah, we might have talked about it.
Because the story isn't like that insane. It was just like Pepsi was like popular, and like the Russians had a lot of value tied up in battleships. I think like just naval vessels. They had a lot of money tied up in it, and they weren't having sea battles with anyone.
Yeah.
So they had things to trade, and they traded them. And then I forgot what Pepsi did with them. That's right. It looked like Sean Penn in the background for a second. Was that Sean Penn? Is that from a movie? Anyway, though, yeah, pretty funny.
That's funny.
Do they have an abridged version of it? Not really. There is a Steve Harvey ad that is basically the size of the entire article, though.
Wow. I guess the Business Insider readership is big on Family Feud, huh?
No, it means I am, or whatever we're browsing on.
Okay.
They tailor it to you. It means you are. You're the one who browses on this. It means you're a big fan of Family Feud.
Yeah, I just remember that in the article I was reading about Thomas L. Friedman, this has been so long ago. I swear this was like 12, 15 years ago. But I remember that, like, I think a doctor was quoted who was concerned about the alcoholic consumption of the Chinese people, because he said something like how, as a culture, they're not huge on alcoholic consumption per week or whatever. Like, you can measure like which countries consume per week or on average per day, whatever amount. He was afraid that it would hit their systems really hard, that the tequila was too strong and that, it would mess up like some cultural, I don't remember, but there was some doctor who was protesting the payment of that Mexico was making in tequila on some kind of cultural grounds. I don't remember what it was, but it was pretty dang funny.
Well, so I pulled up the abridged version of the story.
Okay.
What's really fascinating about this is you look at these numbers and like this shows you how crazy the end of the Cold War was. So the Russians gave $3 billion worth of Pepsi, which is 17 submarines. 17 submarines,
Jeez.
dude. A cruiser, a frigate, and a destroyer. But here's the thing. Know what they did with it? They ended up giving it to a Swedish company for scrap recycling. It's just kind of interesting. I think about it. At one point, Russia was producing... What is that?
They had submarines?
Yeah.
Soviet subs.
They were
they scrapped them?
Briefly, they were the 6th most powerful military in the world. This was the late 80s. Before, I guess. What's the exact date? It might have been, it sounds like before the Cold War.
This should be one of our history videos.
But isn't it just kind of funny? Like, you seriously think about it. Like, there was a time, not that much longer before this, where they thought they needed 21 naval vessels for something. And now, at this point in time, those 21 naval vessels are worth Pepsi, and then Pepsi to them having the 6th largest, which obviously Pepsi can't afford to staff, and like it's like kind of tongue in cheek, the 6th most powerful military. I don't think they had the hundreds of soldiers or naval people necessary to crew every single one of these. I don't think they had like Pepsi uniform Navy officers. I think they just had the actual ships themselves. But still, they were so worthless. The best they could do was a Swedish company, unless Pepsi was trying to remain neutral. I guess like Pepsi couldn't sell them too. But like there wasn't one country that wanted to buy 21 naval. I don't know. It's weird to me to think that, because that's a lot of stuff, dude. There's like not one military. Like if that was the 6th largest fleet in the world, there wasn't one country that was like, hey, $3 billion kind of sounds like a steal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does $3 billion for the 6th largest military in the world sound like a steal to you? It does to me.
Dude, there's no way I would have liquidated that.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to remain neutral. Well, dude, you can't hold on to it. Pepsi cannot afford to have.
Dude, I would paint them white with a massive Pepsi logo and make that the biggest PR stunt on the world, because you're just paying for fuel at that point and a captain. You don't need the 1,500 soldiers on board. I would be driving that thing into every major harbor and having fireworks shows going off from the hull. Like instead of loading in, surface to air missiles, I'd be shooting all kinds of fireworks out with like big old Pepsi displays. I would still have the 6th largest fleet. Pepsi missed one on this.
You would have completely bankrupted Pepsi like years ago. But we wouldn't be, Pepsi. Okay. This would be one of those stories. If I told this story today and they did what you said, there would be like younger kids who'd be like, "What's Pepsi? I've never heard of that." Like, oh, it was this thing we used to drink. Until for some reason they had a giant navy. I forgot how they even got it, and they just flew around the country and didn't do anything for a couple of years. And then, I know it's kind of expensive to have a navy. What do you know? And then Pepsi doesn't exist anymore. So thankfully, that's not what happened.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know. I have to admit, I'm not a big Pepsi guy. If Pepsi didn't exist, I wouldn't be crushed. I wouldn't be like
Pepsi's tasty.
I wouldn't be like pleased. I wouldn't be like, oh, awesome. But I wouldn't. I don't know. If there was no Pepsi, you know what? I did like. Remember Blue Pepsi?
I remember clear Pepsi.
Remember like the blue one with like it was like a blue, I don't know. Clear Pepsi. I don't remember clear Pepsi.
Oh, you don't remember clear Pepsi? Oh, that was a big. Oh, you know what? Everybody in the chat, tell me if there's anybody out there that actually remembers clear Pepsi. There was this period of time. Help me remember the date, guys. When did clear Pepsi come out? I think I was in 5th or 6th grade, which would have been, like 1993-ish. There was a stunt where clear Pepsi came out, and instead of having the colorant added to it, it was Crystal Pepsi. That's what it was called. It was called Crystal Pepsi, and it was pretty cool. They brought it back for a brief time in like 2010, I think it was, but then it didn't take off. But it was pretty popular in the early 90s.
It didn't take off, really?
Yeah, why not?
You know what? Crystal Pepsi had one massive win, though, I will say.
What is it? The commercial with what's her face?
No, I love that logo, man. You know what's hilarious? Hold on. That is so funny.
Yeah, Crystal Pepsi right there. Look at that, dude.
I am exposed. This is goofy. Watch. If you type in Crystal Pepsi on images, look at what comes up. Aesthetic and Vaporwave are the number one things that come up, and then original 90. Because that's. But I don't know. I do think it's a really cool, because that is I don't know. I think there is something too. That was a design people used in like the 80s and 90s that we don't use anymore, but it is still interesting for its time. I think it's a really cool label, the Crystal Pepsi. Right?
Dude.
I don't know. I think
that
it's cool.
Literally, bro, that was
works.
my childhood, was the Crystal Pepsi logo. That's what everything looked like. All the businesses look like that. All the fast food joints look like that. That was straight up like my childhood, man.
Well, you know who, I guess I'm not going to bring it up, but
what? Hit it.
It's too late for that, isn't it? But I'm not going to show it. The LA Rams recently announced they changed their logo. Whenever anything changes their logo after a long period of time, it's weird. Like, think about it. Coke's had the same logo like forever.
Yeah. Well, that's
slight variations.
Yeah. Well, it's just like Orkin. When you have a logo that establishes a trend, then you can't change it because you are that trend.
Crystal Coke. Are you familiar with Crystal Coke?
Oh, get out of town. Don't tell me Coke copied Pepsi.
Oh, no, hold on. I get that. No, there's no way there's Crystal Coke. You're right.
Yeah.
No, but I think I liked Blue Pepsi. Is Blue Pepsi a real thing?
Oh, please don't touch. That sounds so heinous.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That was good. Who remembers that? See,
Blue Pepsi?
You see that awful? You see this? You know what's funny? It's because it's been so close. But yeah, you see this awful design right here with like the really sharp edges, and it looks like how they still brand monsters, I guess. That was that was the early 2000s look. Crystal Pepsi comes up. Yeah, Blue Pepsi. I remember that. It had a it definitely had a blue flavor. So
hey, somebody brings up a good point. The RC Cola has a very similar logo. What's the RC Cola logo look like, my man?
Never seen
RC Cola.
I have to say, if you asked me right now to draw you, I couldn't tell you. But yeah, it's the I don't know. There we go. Here's the RC Cola logo.
Oh, that's not the original. The old school. There they are. That's the old school up there.
This is all of them.
Boom. Actually, that's their second one. The old school one was seriously gangster, man.
Here's old.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
One of my favorites. People are saying Blue Pepsi sucked and it wasn't good. Here's the thing. I haven't had a Blue Pepsi in probably 15 years. So I don't know. Maybe it does suck. Maybe it isn't though.
Hey, what's the number one thing you missed from when you were a kid? Before we dive into the filthy politics of America right now. And we're still talking about nostalgic things.
I don't know.
Is there anything that you're nostalgic for that you think is that you would bring back if you could? Pogs? Yes. Would you bring back Pogs?
No. The Los Angeles Lakers winning NBA titles.
The Los Angeles Lakers winning NBA titles.
I could do with more of that in my life.
Interesting. I'd go pre-internet. I'd go pre-internet and pre-cell phones. It was cool, man. It forced you to focus on the moment. You lived in the now more.
You were like 5 pre-internet.
Well, you have to remember the first 5 years of the internet, the hardware hadn't caught up with the.
I know, but like that's what I mean. It's like not like pre-internet so much as like pre-dial-up. Was it?
Dude, this is another thing. Shout out to anybody that remembers this. Does anybody remember Prodigy? The dial-up service.
Isn't it a DJ? Is there a DJ Prodigy?
It was it was called Prodigy, and it had like educational software in it. And you could read books. It was the most rudimentary Like, I remember my friends going on to bulletin boards. Before there was the internet and the interconnectivity was actually bulletin board
I remember
forums.
AOL chat rooms.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I played it in the past. I forget. I remember AOL Instant Messenger, or so AIM, AIM. Dude, it's kind of weird. Think of the communication, because they're kind of like communication programs along the way that just are gone. Obviously, a big one. You know, you get to closer social media, MySpace. But even like I remember back when it was playing video games, it was if you're probably using Ventrilo or TeamSpeak as your VoIP service, right? That's probably what you're gonna use. If it isn't built in, Ventrilo or TeamSpeak. Ventrilo and TeamSpeak. How many people even know those exist nowadays? Ventrilo and TeamSpeak.
Gosh.
Those just pop. And then after that, for a while, oh my God, there's various other ones that were big. And then now, of course, Discord dominates. For a while, people use Skype, I think. I'm blanking out on a few more. There's one or two more I'm forgetting. But just funny, you think about how much now there's Discord, and that basically is it. Discord's really good as a platform, as like what it does, but I don't know. There's a lot of things along the way that existed for a few years. You know, like how long, I wonder now. I was a little kid, so for me, it was just, that's the internet for a long time, but how long were services like, I wonder, AOL Instant Messenger and a couple others really in service for as like a primary thing? Oh my God. Now I remember on the other end, what was the Microsoft communication client called? MSN Live?
No, it was MSN Messenger.
Was that one?
Yeah, it was MSM. No, it was MSM, which stand for Microsoft Messenger.
Yeah,
that was
those.
Hey, I just sent you in Discord, bro. I just sent you the logo for Prodigy. You got to put it up, and I want to see if anybody remembers this. That was like one of my first computer experiences after learning how to code MS-DOS. By the way, was there anybody else out there that ever learned how to code MS-DOS, how to make the batch files and the text files? Because for my computer merit badge, my straight up computer merit badge when I was 14 years old, all right? I got my computer merit badge at 13 or 14. My dad sat me down, who was an accountant, who was a genius at the MS-DOS prompt. Back before even Windows was big and computers didn't come with Windows, you had to install it, okay? And you could run things through the MS-DOS prompt. And I learned how to code, and I coded this game where like it would say you walk into a forest. There's a path to the left and a path to the right and a path to the front. Which one do you go? A, B, or C? And you had to choose A, B, or C. And depending on how you entered the answer, it was like a choose your own adventure game. And I coded that in the straight up MS-DOS prompt. So Tom Arilla says, "Oh my gosh, I still remember my number." Awesome.
People are bringing up something a lot, and I guess I hope I was trying to pull up the best list I could, so I'm just going to Google images again. This looks pretty good, but people are bringing it up, and this is a good thing too. The Winamp skins, because of course back then you couldn't just have a music player. I'd have cool skins. Now the reason why I have it loaded up here, a lot of you guys probably recognize a lot of these skins. Now, as a child who used this, I of course only used the weird floating skull one because that was really cool when I was 14 or no, 14. No, I'm talking 9, 10 years old. We're not using this. But remember some of these things, man?
That is gnarly, man.
It's very interesting because also people are bringing up. I'm trying to see any of these other ones.
Dude, somebody else brought up in the chat LimeWire. Do you remember LimeWire?
Just bring up Lime. Well, here's a weird thing because I over the years. I mean, I guess honestly, geez, I've been using like the Pirate Bay would be like a main source torrenting forever. It's been like one of the primary ones used for a long time. But what's really funny is you think about that was people were mentioning. I think a good way to talk about LimeWire. People were mentioning. Oh my God, what is the program? MIRC. So that was like the original Discord exactly. It was people were using those terms before. But the thing is, your average like not like normie, but your average person wasn't gonna just boot it up and do it. And that's kind of like what made AOL Instant Messenger really popular. Is like I was using it with like other kids my age who did one thing on a computer and use it when we were in like 5th and 6th grade, right? Like anyone could use it. That's what like obviously online pirating existed forever. LimeWire was when it was like, and that's when oh my God, there's so much ridiculous stuff from. Again, a weird part of the internet, which there is actually people, for anyone wondering, and you can kind of see from this right here, a lot of this stuff gets archived. Obviously, all of it doesn't get archived, but you'd be surprised how much of this stuff gets archived. Like, you know what I want to know if it's archived?
Yeah.
All of the weird, glittery, flashing GIFs, I guess, that you used to be able to code into like your MySpace profile. I remember they're like flashing. I wonder if those are archived somewhere, because I don't know if arts maybe is a generous word, right? But it is like something cool to preserve, I think. So I'm glad to see some of this stuff is preserved. Like, for example, people are talking about it. There used to be back in the day, not even back, but like Flash games.
Flash games, not as much.
Alien Hominid was probably one of the most popular. They actually made Alien Hominid like for PlayStation 2 and stuff.
Okay.
But Flash games, simple games on the internet, Newgrounds, E-Bombs World had them. Mini Clips would have them. They're just Flash-based games on a browser.
Yeah.
There was the one where you're George Bush and you had to like defend the Queen of England on Mini Clips. Anyway, I think this December they're no longer going to support Flash in your browsers anymore. So a lot of those
really.
So there's a couple not companies, but a couple groups of people.
Wait, why aren't they going to support Flash?
It's too unsecure. Like, you need to update it almost every day to cover security stuff. So they're just gonna not use it anymore and use better things. But in order to access a lot of those, and it's not just games. You talked about being able to code simple things. Dude, for me, I didn't code simple things, but I made simple things in Macromedia Flash Player. Macromedia Flash, I mean. I remember I used to have the whole Macromedia suite, the Macromedia Dreamweaver. I remember when they taught me Dreamweaver, and then I was learning more about making websites, and I was like, did people like use Dreamweaver? And everyone knows, like, I mean, like, you can. I'm like,
Adobe Dreamweaver. Well, Adobe
will,
bought Dreamweaver, but
like, you know, it's not the most popular, obviously.
Say I've discorded you some.
There's a couple things like that are really funny. That it's just, I don't know. It's like at one time people, I mean, God, think about for I guess video editing a little bit, but there's a lot of programs that were like so big, and now it's just like, wow. I guess early image editing before Photoshop. It used to be like how they do like a CGI now, like a gigantic computer designed only to do this one thing, and it costs $20,000.
Yeah, well, look, I just sent you a couple of images. Now that we're doing a hangout stream, we're just having fun. Dude, I just sent you some images. That is straight up my childhood.
Yeah, old computer stuff.
The Apple, no, but not just any computer. This, my friend, was the Apple IIc Plus.
Yeah, that's like
that didn't just use your floppy disks, those 3x5 solid coasters that could hold up a coffee mug.
I've never used any computer like this at all.
You never have? Oh, dog, no. This was literally my first word processing assignment that I had to do was on an Apple IIc Plus based word processing computer or no software, and I think it literally only had like 256K, the entire memory of the entire computer, because the whole reason why I had floppy disks was because the computers didn't have a lot of memory, so you had to have the floppy disks.
Relatively to then, multiple kilobytes would be what you would call a lot of memory, and when
exactly
or whatever, like,
and so
I remember
I think 5 kilobytes was the first take-home PC computer. I think it was literally like 5 kilobytes of memory. It was absurd how little memory it had.
Shoplifter is a good one.
But so anyway, this right here, dude, Oregon Trail, baby. Be a banker from Boston. Yeah. Buy up all the goods. Keep pressing spacebar. Get there before all of your friends. That was the way to win the game. Be a poor farmer, and then you get to do all the fun hunting.
You know what? I wonder if it'll get preserved, because things like this, like as you can see on the screen, are preserved now, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was in high school and I had a oh God, I'm not even pull it up. It was like a gray Nokia brick phone.
Yeah, rock on.
Let me see if I can Google 2004ish. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. Yep, this was the one I used to have. I used to have this.
Yeah.
I used to have this phone. I don't know, man. I had that phone when I was in 9th grade. Anyways, back whenever this was, 2007 or something like that, there was simple internet on your phone you could use, and there was websites you could go to. I remember I was able to download a cheap polyphonic version of Stunt 101 by G-Unit as my ringtone for free. Anyway, though, there was also these super simple games you could download for free. And again, if I'm downloading off of the cellular network through the internet in the mid-2000s, I have to imagine these things are so small. I wonder, how do you... could those be preserved? Like, I guess if I could find my old Nokia 3120, it's there, but I wonder what happened to stuff like that. It's weird to think. Now, of course, back in the day, there was a lot of, I'm sure, little pamphlets and books and stuff. They just did. Like, think about it. Before it was easy to just make thousands and thousands and thousands of books. I wonder how many books are made in the dozens and forgotten and never. I mean, there's a lot of books now, but it is weird with digital stuff that's only like I said, being able to download it off a cheap, crappy site. Like, I remember there was one game I played it and I was like, God, 9th grade must have been, where the point of the game, it was all text. And the point of the game was you'd basically fly to different cities and buy different like drugs and then fly to other cities and sell them, and then the prices would change by city to city. It was basically like any trading game, but there was a drug dealer theme. But it's just, I wonder, can those things be preserved? I don't know. I guess they can, but I wonder if they are is a better way. Like, who would bother? And are they? I don't know.
Dude, my heart's breaking. I'm looking up Apple IIc Plus computers, and an Apple IIc Plus computer that's functional is $2,300 or best offer. Here's one that's going for $729. The cheapest I can find is $663, but it doesn't have any printer on it.
Yeah, they're popular collector's pieces now.
Dude, that is beyond.
What was your first cell phone, dude? Do you even remember?
Yeah. I remember what my first cell phone was.
What was it?
It was an LG flip phone. And I remember for like a whole entire day, I didn't realize
what color,
why it was.
What year?
It was gray. And it was the first one that had a little screen on the front. So
Around when?
This would have been, look up 2003.
Okay.
My first cell phone was 2003.
Like one of these?
Yeah, exactly, right there in the middle. Right, that one. Boom, right there.
You know what's crazy? At one point.
No, the one to the left. That was it. No, the one in the middle. Boom.
I had a phone like this.
That's my boy right there. And the crazy thing about it was I didn't realize that there was a speakerphone button that I'd accidentally pressed. And I was like, dang, why is this phone so loud? The first day I had bought it, until I realized that I'd actually put on the speakerphone function. But it gets even better than that. That wasn't the first cell phone that our family had, though. I'm going to look this one up. My dad worked for Prime Matrix Cellular. Before the FCC tanked all of the individual cell phone companies, he worked for a company called Prime Matrix Cellular. All right. And he had a Motorola phone this would have been 1994. I'm looking this up on eBay to see if they've got a Motorola. Oh, here it is right here.
Yeah. Because I have to admit, looking at some of these old phones, it's
this
weird.
Is it.
But I think nowadays the phones we go there. I don't know about you. I kind of want to buy some of these old phones that were old phones I had. Well,
they're not digital. They were analog back then.
Yeah, but not to use them, just to display in my home.
Look, the MicroTac, and he had the extra size battery. I'm not kidding you, Cody. That battery was a brick. It was literally the phone was this thick.
Oh yeah,
it was like that thick when you talked on it. Oh, it was funky. It was so cool.
Oh, here we go. Those are cool, though.
Yeah, that was my dad calling home from work. And he'd always have to try and keep the call under like 2 minutes, because back then it was like $10 a minute.
You know what's crazy about cell phones, too? You think about like a cell phone that came out 15 years after this one didn't look that much crazy or different to it, right?
Yeah.
Until iPhones, and then it was just like every phone. Yeah, because I'm thinking of the
Well, it gets better. I had the Palm Trio. The precursor to the iPhone.
See, I had
the Palm Trio, baby. That was mine.
Well, the Palm Trio, the whole Palm line, I think, was interesting. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, right there. That was my baby.
Oh my God!
Look at that.
I'm gonna say I feel vindicated. Hey, you can go for $12. That's definitely a knockoff. I feel vindicated. Maybe it isn't though. I always thought that was such an ugly UI and display, and in hindsight, yeah, it was. It was super ugly. That does not look good, and compared to anything, yeah. So I feel. It's like I watched a video the other day on the Zune. Remember the Zune?
Zune.
You know what's hilarious? I was in high school when the Zune came out, and there literally was that one kid I knew who had a Zune. And it's like that's always the joke.
Hey, well, Barbara Oval brings up a really good question. She says, did we have forgotten about one communication device that some doctors still have?
Oh, beepers.
A beeper.
Pagers.
The pagers. And you used to, dude, I remember when I was a kid,
never owned
dude.
one, so to me, I don't think of them that much. But yeah.
Only the coolest kids had beepers.
Hey, I tell you what, if you want one,
dude, the Motorola pager. Look at that,
Shout
dude.
out to this listing. Beep, beep, beep. Shout out to that listing, man.
Dude, that right there was literally like junior high. You were so cool if you had a beeper. And if somebody had a beeper, you were so cool if you could like call them and send like a secret message. Like to say I love you is like certain, like you could write the letters a certain way. So when it turned up upside down, it said different things. Oh yeah, dude.
It was kind of
that was epic.
But it was the original idea of realizing that how many people, myself included, I use my phone 99% for texting to communicate with people, and then every now and then I'll call if I have to.
Hey, so a bunch of people are saying I had a Zune. What was a Zune?
You still don't know what a Zune is? Dang, that's disrespectful, man. That's disrespectful to all the hard work that men and women put in to make the Zune what it was.
What's a Zune? I'm looking
all of
it
the
up
money
right now.
spent in marketing, wasted.
Sony
Apparently, Carton doesn't
Zune?
even know not a Sony Zune. Nope, that's not what those are called. It's Zune.
It looks like an iPod.
Oh, how did you know? That was Microsoft's competition against the iPod.
Oh, really? Oh, no. Oh, I skipped this. You know what I had that I thought was better than the iPod?
It wasn't. What was it?
No, it was.
No, it wasn't.
It was. And if they had not made the iPhone, it wouldn't have happened. The Dell DJ. The operating system of the Dell DJ and their scrolling button. Look up a Dell DJ. 10 times better. If you look up a Dell DJ.
Yeah, spare me. Let's see.
No, what are you saying? Spare me. I still have it in my closet, the Dell DJ, right there. Far better because instead of having this stupid circular thumb thing, you could be listening and then add another song to the existing playlist. I used that when I was a DJ at Magic Mountain for a long time. We'd be playing from CD to CD, and I had the little wiki thing, you know what I'm saying? And when you wanted to switch between the songs, I always had my Dell DJ plugged into the third pod just in case something got bad and something broke on the CD player. The music would be still coming through on my Dell DJ.
So what was the first iPod you had then?
I never had an iPod.
You never had an
I went straight from the Dell DJ to an iPhone.
What?
I never had an iPod.
Oh my God. Okay, remember we were talking? I legitimately want to buy this. This was the first iPod I ever owned. Not the first iPod I ever owned, the model. The light blue. I got this for my birthday. Yeah, I remember that operating system. I got this for my birthday when I was like, God, I must have been in middle school, so like 7th grade. But this was a very cool. I remember when this came out because this was the first iPod they really marketed. It wasn't just a revision of the iPod. It was like the first like subline. I think maybe not first at all, but I mean this is what the iPod Nano would eventually become. And now, of course, the iPhone just trivialized the iPod. They did make an iPod Touch at the end of 2019, though. It did happen. I don't know if they're gonna make a 2020 iPod Touch, even though I kind of want an iPod Touch, dude.
Yeah.
Because an iPod Touch is like, they're not that expensive and they're really powerful. But yeah, that was the first iPod I ever had. And then I had a iPod Classic after this, the video version of the iPod Classic.
Okay, yeah.
And then I had a iPod Touch. No, sorry. iPod Video. I had an iPod Video. Dude, you know what's crazy? I was a big fan of video podcast. iPod Video. I had this one with the freaking Pirates of the Caribbean box, dude. I remember this.
What's the Pirates of the Caribbean box?
That was the packaging they branded though, Pirates of the Caribbean. That was a very cool piece of hardware as well, because that was like really. What I liked about that one. That was when you could go on. Talking about public domain stuff, right? You could go on iTunes and subscribe to video podcasts that would just download public domain videos to your iPod. Every time you plug it into your computer every few days. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God, dude. This is, we were talking about going back in time.
Ask a Ninja. Oh yeah, this guy was epic.
I discovered this. How many people remember this? I'm afraid to play the audio. Look at it. How many people remember this? This is old school internet stuff. Like upload 2006. I discovered this through my little iPod videos, video podcast subscription on. But it's just funny. That was 2006 ish. Oh my God, dude, there was this comedy skit group. I don't even remember the name of them. I used to die laughing watching little comedy skits. I got them through there. But it's really funny to think that was so far ahead of its time, man. 2006 to do these video podcasts and have them sent to a device on your phone. Like that stuff people are just now like, wow, there's something in this podcast.
Back when it was nuanced because the internet was for smart people.
And I used to listen to, oh God, I don't want to get into which ones, but yeah, I used to listen to audio podcasts through Apple back then. It's something that's existed for a while, but it's really interesting. It's kind of come back around full circle. But yeah, dude, stuff like this, Apple does get a little bit of credit. There's a lot of stuff like that. I remember first watching through Apple's iPod, what's it called? The Apple Store, iTunes Store? Yeah. iTunes Store. And the iPods, man. And I use iPods forever. They were, once iPods stopped being, well, I remember with the old iPods, my friend used to have Halo Combat Evolved and Battlefield 2142 on an iPod, dude, and you could just literally plug the iPod into your computer and just like run the game or drag the game onto your computer and run it. You had to install I don't know if you had to install. Actually, I think those games you could just run through the file. Anyways, there was a period where your iPods were also in a way that your phone isn't even today. It's really hard to think about this, but you used to be able to use your iPod as an iPod. It played music, all that stuff, but also it was just like a portable flash storage.
Yeah.
So you could just put a bunch of movies on your iPod, go about your day, and then plug them into your computer somewhere else, watch them off your iPod, put it back away, and go about your day. That's something you can't even really do in iPhone today. It's really interesting. Maybe some Android devices you can, but you could with I think this was right around the time it started getting harder to do that. But before that, you could just use your iPod as that. I don't know. Very cool. So
hey, so apparently Sir Mix-a-Lot made a song called Beepers. I'm looking it up, and it's legit. It's true. He straight up made a song called Beepers. You got to look at the thumbnail of this thing, Cody. I mean, this right here, Beepers. When did this song come out?
Oh, well, someone mentioned people were putting Photoshop on iPods. That's a great idea. Putting
Photoshop?
Yeah, because, dude, imagine, again, it's something you don't have today. Like they were small. The equivalent today, though, would be like a 150 gigabyte portable flash drive on your persons at all time because it doubles as something else for utility. We don't have that now. I don't know. Maybe it's the store. I think it's because they want to just control what goes on in the devices. I think some Android devices probably do have that because it can't be that crazy. There's just that storage is on your phone. Why can't it be accessed? But yeah, that was something really cool.
So, I actually grew up.
So wait, you only had that one weird.
The Dell DJ was far superior.
Far
superior.
You missed me with that, but that's all you ever had for MP3?
Yeah, it was just a Dell DJ.
For how long?
I still have it in my.
God, see, you never.
I don't have a PC, so I don't have software for it. Actually, I want to plug it in now, and like straight up see what I can't download onto it, man. It was better. The software was better too, better than iTunes. It's just they didn't market it very well. Had they marketed it better, it would have been better. It's just like those movies, they're sleeper movies that don't get marketed, and then they gain a cult following, and then after like 4 or 5 years, you hear about them, you watch them, you're like, whoa, this is amazing. How come I didn't see this before? That was the Dell DJ.
Okay,
the Dell DJ was the sleeper talent movie of the early 2000s, man.
Someone brought this up in chat, and I want to find one, and you're probably going to scoff, but I swear to God, there is legit reasons why they sell multiple hundred to even up to like $1,000 MP3 players to this day. And there is like legit stuff. Basically, in order to get everything to fit inside your phone for cheap, there's a lot of like skimped out parts that you don't have to skimp out on that MP3 player that turn into like fidelity stuff. But here's the thing as well. Most people, I have like cheap Bluetooth wireless headphones. Like, yeah, I'm not getting like the absolute best quality sound on my, my streamed Spotify MP3s through a crappy Bluetooth headset. So it's one of the reasons why I don't stress out, but people do that stuff, man. People do buy $500. Honestly, though, I think part of that is just like if you want to spend hundreds of dollars on audio gadgets because you really like sound, which I get it. I do it with I like computers, so I spend a lot of dollars on computer gadgets for no reason, just because I like computers. I get it. Yeah. People do it with cars. Like, dude, I just put this in my car. Like, wow, weird. I try to make sure I get the oil changed in mine and I wash it. Aside from that, But some people love cars. I don't know. No flame. I think cars are cool. I wish I liked cars more, but man, I'm I've always thought people are like, oh, wouldn't you like people talk about like fast cars and stuff? It's like I look at cars as like moving waiting rooms. I think probably just living in LA with traffic. Like I just want a comfortable waiting room as I get around.
Hey, so bro, now here's a question for you. Since we're getting nostalgic here, and the intro of our show, what was supposed to be the first 5 minutes has become the hour of our live stream here. You know what I'm saying? We only got another 5-10 minutes left. Technically it's supposed to be 4. What was the first CD you bought? Or what was the first album you purchased? And on what device did you play it?
Well, here's the weird thing. It's like when I was a kid, I got bunches of CDs. The first time I remember going to a store by myself to buy a CD though, what was it called? I forgot what it was called. It was one of the Under Oath albums. It was I'll pull it up, and I put it on my computer when I got home. Actually, it was "Define the Great Line" by Under Oath. That was the first CD I legitimately remember going to a store and purchasing, and I played it. I just put it on my computer and then put it on my. I guess you know what the device I really first played it on, computer. But the first device I played it on was that baby blue iPod Mini.
All right.
Yeah, that's the first time I remember though. Like I went to a Hot Topic. And I bought it, and then I brought it home and I put it on my computer.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you. My dad asked me, and he said, "So what CDs do you want, bro?" And because he just bought me for my birthday or Christmas, I can't remember. I'm sending you a link in Discord to eBay of my first CD player.
Oh, I was trying to think of an old CD players portable.
And this was my first CD player. The thing took 8 AA batteries.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a brick,
for
dude.
90 minutes.
Yeah, like 8 AA batteries. And it did have a plug-in in back, I believe.
Did it have a track skip?
Right there. No, it was pre-track skip.
Oh, but it has hyper bass sound. Thank God.
Yeah. So no joke. This was track skip technology was just coming out, and I got another portable CD player once I got into high school, so I could listen to songs on the bus. And I remember it was so cool and avant-garde because it would record the first 3 seconds of music, and then so if it skipped, it would give itself 3 seconds to find out where it was again and buffer the sound. And that was just so avant-garde. And it had these little LED lights that would show you if it was skipping or not. So anyway, this here was like my first CD player. And what was your first 2 albums again, you said?
I mean, like the first CDs I ever got, like I got them for my birthday and stuff. Like there's a whole bunch I got when I was younger. The first time I remember going to the store and buying was Under Oath, Define the Great Line. I just remember going to a store and purchasing
what's that? I never heard of them.
They're a band. Because like before that, I had like CDs. I had a bunch of rap CDs actually. I had. You know what's funny? You know what? I don't have that Under Oath CD anymore. That's long gone. I still have my Get Rich or Die Trying CD. I still have that 50 Cent Get Rich or Die Trying. Yeah, it's a really good CD.
Dude, you're young, bro.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but I was also in.
Dude, look at this.
I was in 6th grade because I got that CD. I got Street Dreams by Fabulous. How do you pronounce it? I got one of the System of a Down CDs. I forgot which one. And there was also a period of time where I was when I was a kid, I was a fan of, and I'll defend him a little bit to this day. God, what's the Fred Durst band? I used to like the Fred Durst band when I was like in 5th grade, 4th grade. When I was a little kid, I liked the Fred Durst band. I forgot what they're called now. So obviously they were very impactful in my childhood. No, but like them, yeah. I was a big time rap fan when I was a kid though. I still like rap, but I was a kid. That was like one of my main music types I listened to was rap music.
Wow, that's hardcore. I didn't know that about you, Cody.
Also like a Nellyville by Nelly. I had that CD.
Yeah, Nelly was good.
I like that one a lot.
Come along and take a ride with me.
Also, here's I think one of the reasons why I liked rap though is like the rap CDs I got were like Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent. I got the Speaker Box / The Love Below, double release by Outkast, Street Dreams by Fabulous. like you go back, those were some of the best CDs that were. So when I was just lucky as a kid, I got like I guess I wasn't lucky. They were also like some of the highest selling and most popular. But I just only bought like the really big popular rap music, and a lot of it's good. Like, to this day, I'll still listen to every single. I still literally go back and listen to songs off those albums all the time. Like all the time, I'll go back and pick a couple songs off all 3 of those 4. I love the Dumble album, and listen to them. They're very good. So shout outs to all those albums. Yeah.
Dude, my first 2 albums, I basically bought them simultaneously. My first one technically, well, I'll say them both, but I think I got the second one first. I don't remember. But Weird Al Yankovic's Amish Paradise, and not Gwen Stefani, because she wasn't Gwen Stefani back then, but No Doubt Tragic Kingdom. Those are my first 2 albums. And then a local punk band.
No doubt. Yeah, they're a band.
Yeah, a local punk band who ended up getting some national recognition on, I believe it was called Fat Records, but it was spelled Fat Rec Chords.
I was like,
you know what I'm saying?
Limp Bizkit was the name of the band. That's the Fred Durst band, Limp Bizkit.
You were a Limp Bizkit fan?
I was like a little kid, yeah.
Dude, yeah.
And you know what?
Gonna roll and roll and roll and roll and roll and roll and roll
You know
and
what?
roll and roll and roll.
Obviously, you can't play them on YouTube. Maybe we should do more Twitch streams for stuff like that. Get them on YouTube. But go back and listen to their big songs. I will defend because it's just kind of like what's the best way of describing it? Like they're just like they're ripping a couple of different things off and mixing them together, but there is a unique-ish sound in there, where it's like, okay, that's like, even going back, I would never like listen to their music right now. It's not what kind of stuff I'm interested in, but I hear them and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a couple of interesting meshes of ideas in here. There's something going on here. It isn't trash, but I don't like it. It isn't like what I would call some of like the Nickelback stuff. It's just really just like some of the Nickelback stuff, and I'm not one of those clone on Nickelback, but like a lot of bands, they have a lot of songs that are just like, okay, we're done playing, pay me now, where I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever, man. They're just kind of putting albums out there. More power to them, working artists. You got to always give shout out to working artists when you see them, but they come across more as like they're workers. They just crank stuff out. Limp Bizkit seems like Fred Durst had some weird thing in his head he wanted to do, and he did it. Like, you look at like the album covers, how this weird artwork and stuff. He was into like maybe I'm not into the style. I kind of look at it the same way I look at like Michael Bay,
Yeah.
Michael Bay is more successful. It's like, I'm not super into his stuff, but I can appreciate the fact that some dude's got some weird vision, and he really, like, Michael Bay's like, what if it blew up, and then what if it blew up bigger with like everything, and like that's cool to see a guy who just like believes in that and does it. So that's my very long. It's kind of like where's there's that one comedian whose whole bits he just defends Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
People hate this guy. I mean, I guess people do hate Limp Bizkit. I just think, Fred Durst had some weird, goofy thing he was going for there. It wasn't all just like, F you, pay me, I'm done playing. There was some weird thing he was trying to make, some weird sound he was going for. And some of that stuff's, it's like, I remember when I went back and listened to the old Big Slipknot songs, I listened to those when I was a kid, and I was like, I forgot there was a reason why Slipknot was so popular besides the obvious branding genius of wearing creepy demon masks. But they're like, okay, yeah, same thing. They had some interesting things they were doing there. I'm like, okay, I could see why. I don't know.
All right.
My way too long rant about random music from the 2000s.
So, all I can say is, guys, this was a lot of fun, Cody. I loved it. And we actually love talking movies and old vintage stuff so much that Cody and I are starting. Okay. We're going to do an announcement video soon, but for those of you guys that are still in the chat, we want you to be the first people to sign up. But this week, we're going to be starting a kind of like a quarantine book club, but a quarantine movie club, where we announce the movie that we're going to watch on Monday. And sometimes it's going to be old school movies. A lot of times it might even be a public domain movie that you can watch for free on YouTube, or maybe you can pick up at a Goodwill on VHS or something like that. But we'll have links to the movie that we're going to watch, and we'll give you 3 or 4 days to watch it. Maybe we'll announce the book or the movie that we want to watch on Monday, and then we'll live stream about it on Thursday. It's going to be like a hip mixture of Red Letter Media, Problem Solver Politics, Film Riot, and like who was it before? It was Siskel and Roper, Siskel and Ebert. And like Siskel and Ebert,
Hey,
old school.
Who was the first? Who was the
Yeah.
first? Who reviewed movies on the radio? Who reviewed radio's programs? I'm gonna go back to them.
Yeah.
We're gonna be back in the day when they used to.
Yeah. You see, here the opening act was a little bit soft, but by the time the hardcore action
Back
came
when
into
they
the
used
second
to,
act,
they used to pay people to like they used to have mobs of people that would only come see your play if you paid them.
yeah.
Otherwise, no one would like your play. And no, hold on. Can we talk about one more thing before we wrap up? Though.
Yes, hit it.
I think it's interesting. I don't want to go too far into it, but do you remember? Oh my God, the Evanescence song that came out with the Daredevil film.
Wake me up inside.
Wake me up. That's the one.
Yeah, I saw them live in Utah, bro, when I was in college.
What year? That is the goofiest
That would have
story.
been two. Okay, so
A bunch of Mormons watching Evanescence live.
and
in
Evanescence
Utah
said
during,
that their
the height.
favorite tour stop was in Salt Lake City and in Provo, Utah, because they said that the fans were craziest in Utah. And it's true, because you have all these kids that don't drink and don't smoke. They're to party to some hardcore rock, right? And that's where they get it out of their system, is in the rock arena.
The biggest Evanescence fans are in Utah.
Yeah. No, dude, they throw a good concert too. So I saw Evanescence at UVU, which back then was Utah Valley, UVSC, sorry, it's Utah Valley State College. Now it's Utah Valley University. They've upgraded to university status. But no joke, it was at UVSC. And it was gnarly, bro. They threw on a good show. Best live show I've ever seen was Green Day, actually. Green Day threw an epic concert. They were really, really good. But the Goo Goo Dolls probably was third. You know what I'm saying? But I saw Evanescence live, and they were hardcore. Yeah, I was like, wake me up inside. Can't wake up.
But hold on. But I wanted to bring,
save me.
But I wanted to, yes, that was it. But I wanted to bring up, though. Think about all the big Marvel movies that came out. They don't do like big song tie-ins to movies like they used to anymore.
I know Marvel sucks now, bro. They're all woke and they're all like.
But that's nothing to do with Marvel. I mean, that was before the MCU. Ben Affleck got shafted, man. Ben Affleck was 4 years pre-MCU films. I think Iron Man came out like 3 years after. And I don't think Daredevil was a Disney film. I think Daredevil was done by, that was back when just whoever had the rights. But it sucks, man. You know what? I kind of like Colin Farrell as the reimagining of Bullseye. I thought Ving Rhames was a good Kingpin. I haven't seen it. That's what I want to watch. I haven't seen it. I've actually heard people say the director's cut of Daredevil makes more sense. But I was a kid when I saw it. But I think that movie. I think Ben Affleck has had some of the most misunderstood superhero performances. Because they're in bad movies for the most part. Like the Batman movies that came out. Hold on, let me take that back. There actually is no Ben Affleck Batman movie. Okay. There's Batman vs. Superman and Justice League. There was no Batman movie. I thought Ben Affleck as Batman was okay. He wasn't perfect, but he was okay. The movie sucked, and that's not his fault. He didn't write them or direct them. But also, though, the little... like... You have to wonder what informed his crippling alcoholism. Was it the Batman films, or was his performance informed by the alcoholism in the background? Who knows? Maybe the nightmare of working on those films really did push him over. But that's also worth noting. Because the reason why I bring it up, I'm glad to see that he seems to be doing much better now. For some reason, he took on that film role where he played a recovering alcoholic.
Okay.
Ben Affleck. It's like there's like stories he broke down crying because in the movie there's a scene where he has to apologize to his wife.
Yeah.
But it's like his marriage fell apart because he was a drunk in real life. And it's like, wow, dude. I love the stories of, reports Ben Affleck broke down on set. It's like, oh, gee, really? You think that was an emotional thing for Ben Affleck to do? So thinking like the same weeks they're running in, I don't know. I've always been a Ben Affleck fan. Seeing him suffering like that was unfortunate, but I guess he's dating the girl from Blade Runner now, so good for him. Good for Ben Affleck. I want good because Ben Affleck was in a lot of movies I liked as a kid a lot. When I was a kid, he was one of my favorite actors. Was Ben Affleck.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember any other ones besides Daredevil right now. What were the other Ben Affleck films?
It's a good question.
What were the other Ben Affleck? Sorry.
Well, there's Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, but no, I mean, like, I'm talking A-list movie star action guy, Ben Affleck. Because there's comedy Ben Affleck, of course, if you're talking about like actually one of Mallrats, I believe. Ben Affleck's in Mallrats. What's Ben Affleck in though? Hold on. The big ones. 73 acting credits, by the way, Ben Affleck. Very good for him. I'm talking about Armageddon.
Okay.
I'm talking about Phantoms.
Never saw it.